Hello to my Facebook family. Hello to the internet. Hello to my church family, Friendship Missionary Baptist Church. Again, we're here to do another Bible or Sunday school lesson again. We're going to do another Sunday school lesson. We've done 2 so far, and now we're about to do our 3rd. For those that are viewing in for the first time, just want to throw out some shots out. For one, we have our prayer meetings every Tuesday. We have them from 10 to 11 and 4 and 6 to 7 on Tuesday. Then Saturday and Wednesdays we have them from 7 to 8, and then on Saturdays we have them from 8 to 9. And it's on the website, so please look at our website for those times and those dates. Also, make sure you look at our Sunday worship services. And they happens every Sunday, as you know, from 8 o'clock service and 11 o'clock service. And we have great services. We have good music and everything else, you know. Okay, so yeah, just make sure you view in next Sunday, the 4th Sunday, you know, because, you know, during this coronavirus and during this shut-in right now, we've had people that have lost loved ones, you know, throughout this country and throughout this world, and they haven't been able to go and have decent ceremonies and decent funerals or homegoing services. So what we're going to do next Sunday is we're going to honor that. So make sure that you take the time to view that service, you know, and if you have a picture of a loved one that you've lost or someone that you're mourning, make sure you get that picture out. And it's going to be on the website, so make sure you look at the website for more information on that as well. So let's get started. Right now, we're starting our Sunday school lesson, and you know the way Friendship is, we have a great arsenal of teachers. And the teacher that's standing right next to me right now is probably our most seasoned teacher. He's been teaching 39, right?
39 years.
39 years. That's almost half his age. He's a young man still. He's still growing up. But yeah, so he's been teaching a while. You know, I've called him Officer Lewis all my life because I've known him since I was like 11, 12 years old. You know, he was a police officer, and he would mentor a lot of us young men as we were growing up in the schools. You know, he got a lot of us out of trouble and, you know, did a lot of things with youth, you know, so I know I've known him, had the pleasure of knowing him for a long time. I even seen him in basketball shorts playing basketball before. He thought he can beat me in basketball back in the day.
Yes.
Him and his brother. But you know, it's a pleasure right now. Stanley Lewis is by no means no stranger to the Bible. He knows what he's teaching. He gives a great lesson, and I know that you're about to be blessed with the lesson that we're about to have in our Sunday school class right now. So Stanley, talk to me a little bit about yourself, man. How have you been in during this coronavirus sheltering in place and all that?
I would say bored, but I like being bored. Kind of hard keeping my boys' figure since I can't go to the gym. But other than that, just sitting around the house watching TV and having a good time. That's all good. I'm doing.
And you taking care of my girl. You taking care of Carrie though, right?
Yes.
Thank you, Carrie. Thank you for sharing your husband with us, and Nicole, you too.
Good enough.
All right. But everything's been good so far?
Yes, everything's been wonderful. Like I say, we are in desperate times right now, so everybody's agenda has changed, and we just got to make best with what we have right now.
Yeah, that's true. So what you have for us today?
Well, I have, in my opinion, one of the better lessons in the Old Testament. That's what we have because we're teaching from the book of Esther.
Esther.
And I love this lesson, by the way, and I was glad that you thought high enough to ask me to teach it.
I'm going to pray. So let's bow our heads. Lord, I thank you, Lord. I thank you for this opportunity yet once again to be able to come before you, Lord, and look at your word and share your word with others, Lord, and be able to commune and learn and grow from it, Lord. I pray for revelations, Lord. I pray for insights, and I pray for knowledge and learning and wisdom. And I pray that this lesson be brought out the way out of your mouth, Lord, and I pray that you're able to take this lesson and help us to practice it within our lives to be able to adapt and adjust in what's going on in our world today. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen. Now, are we ready?
I think we are.
I think so, too. For those of you who have your books, you can see that the title of the lesson is An Executed Scoundrel. Now, what is a scoundrel? A scoundrel is a bad person. Now, since it's from the book of Esther, and we have a woman who's the heroine of the book. I thought that I would get my title from another queen from another era.
Okay.
And so for some of the older folks, my title is actually a quote from a woman who was called the Queen of Gospel in the 50s and 60s. And for you guys, you know that's Mahalia Jackson. And my title is, if you dig a ditch for one, you better dig a ditch for two. And what the entire quote is, if you dig a ditch for one, you better dig a ditch for two, because the trap you set may just be for you.
Ooh.
And that's what the book of Esther is about. We can go home now.
Okay.
That's what it's about right here. And for those of you, if you look in your book, we're starting in Esther chapter 7. And the title of that first outline is Scheme Explained. But we cannot explain the scheme or anything unless we know what we're talking about, because we start in chapter 7. So what we're going to do is do a real quick summary from chapter 1 through 6.
Okay.
So chapter 7 we can understand. For all you Bible aficionados, I'm not trying to hit every point in each chapter, just some high points. In chapter 1, as we know, Queen Vesti has just been kicked to the curb. She upset King Ahasuerus, who we will be calling Xerxes from now on, because she refused to wear her crown at his party in front of all the men to show how beautiful she was. This made him mad, also the other men, because the men said, if she can get away with it, our wives will start treating us the same way. So having said that to the king divorced Vesti and banished her from the kingdom. So when we go into chapter 2, the best way we could say this, they're going to have a beauty pageant. They came up with an idea, let's go get the most beautiful women from each province. Now the king is over 197 provinces. So he sent his people out to each province to find the most beautiful woman in each province. Now one of these women was a Jew by the name of Hadassah. We will call her Esther from here on out. She was an orphan raised by her cousin Mordecai. Now Mordecai worked around the palace, so everybody knew who Mordecai was. And when he found out that his cousin was in this pageant, becoming a part of his harem, he didn't object, but he told her, don't tell anybody that you're a Jew. And so she agreed with that. So when all the women came together, she found instant favor with the man over the harem. The Bible also tells us that when she got ready to go in her time to see the king, all the other women were impressed with her. That's why we know it was God at work. Women being impressed with another woman. So they were really impressed with her. And so she became queen. It should have been story happily ever after at that point. But as we go into chapter 3, there's the scoundrel by the name of Haman. Haman was elevated to the role of prime minister. Some versions say viceroy. The king wrote a special edict that when he walks by, you have to bow to him. Now, this had never been done before. This is something new. This is something that Haman wanted the people to bow to him. My mother would call this a person 10 cents above breakfast. That's when you never found success, but as soon as you find a little success, now you're superior to somebody. Now, Mordecai, being a Jew and knowing who God is, he's not going to bow. And so he did not bow. And some of the other men would ask him, why aren't you bowing? He said, well, I'm a Jew and I don't really do this kind of thing. Now, Haman didn't know anything about this, but just like people, they went gossiping, said, hey, he's not bowing to you. Of course, this made Haman mad that somebody's not bowing to him, giving him his due respect. So he got angry. Now he wants to kill Mordecai for not bowing. And we do have that problem right now. Some people, if you don't give them their proper respect, they have it in for you. They plot to do things to you. So what did he do to show you how angry he was? He went to the king and told the king, there's a people, he didn't say Jews or Mordecai, there's a people who are disrespecting you. They won't take care of your laws, they're disobedient. I think we should kill all of them. And I want to do this so badly that I will pay you and according to the Living Bible, $20 million I will put in your coffers if you let me wipe these people off the face of the earth. The king said, yeah, sure. You're second in command. Go kill them. I don't care. I don't need your money, but yes, you have a right to kill them. Now when we move to chapter 4, Mordecai gets wind of the plan because they've sent letters to every province. On a certain day, we're going to kill all the Jews. Mordecai, being a Jew, did the traditional Jewish thing. Sackcloth and ashes. Started crying and wailing. But he remembers now, he has a relative in the White House now. Wouldn't it be good to have a relative in the White House right now?
It would be great.
You see, he has somebody there. So he goes to the palace gates, sackcloth and ashes, and one of Esther's servants see him at the gate and tell Esther, hey, Mordecai is at the gate and he's upset. She said, well, bring him in. He said, I can't bring him in. The way he's dressed, he's wearing sackcloth and ashes. So she gets clothes, send clothes out to Mordecai and say, have him put these on and come talk to me. Mordecai refused to put the clothes on. He tells the servant, you take this note to Esther. You see what's getting ready to happen to us. There's a man who wants to kill all the Jews. And now Esther being queen, people not knowing that she's a Jew, this puts her in a bind because even a queen cannot just go in to see a king. Now, if you would, for me right here, if you could read chapter 4, 11 through 14.
Okay, New Living Translation. It says, all the king officials and even the people in the provinces know that anyone who appears before the king in his inner court without being invited is doomed to die unless the king holds out his gold scepter. And the king has not called for me to come to him for 30 days. So Hathach gave Esther's message to Mordecai. Mordecai sent this message to Esther. Don't think for a moment that because you are in the palace, you will escape when all the Jews are killed. If you keep quiet at a time like this, deliverance and relief for the Jews will arise from some other place. But you and your relatives will die. Who knows if perhaps you were made queen for such a time as this.
This puts Esther in a quandary right here.
Yeah, it does.
And for those of you who in a former life were thespians, a thespian being a Shakespearean actor or studied Shakespeare, this is basically straight out of Hamlet, Act 3, Scene 1. We know that Hamlet was the Prince of Denmark studying in Germany when he got word that his father had passed. Now he's the crown prince, next in line to be king. When he comes back, his uncle has already taken a throne and married his mother. Now Hamlet's father, who's dead, the ghost of his father visits Hamlet and says, hey, my brother, your uncle killed me. I want revenge. Now Hamlet being the prince, he's put in a bind here. He can remain quiet and live out his princely life, maybe outlive his uncle, get to the throne, maybe uncle won't kill him, or he can do something, get killed, or things work out well and become king. And that's why the most famous soliloquy ever uttered from stage was Hamlet, Act 3, Scene 1. To be or not to be, that is the question. For whether it is nobler in the minds to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortunes or to take up arms against a sea of trouble. And what Hamlet's saying is that, should I be quiet and leave everything alone even though this was bad? Or should I do something about this? This is where Esther is right now. Should she remain quiet? Maybe they'll kill the Jews, or maybe I could do something and sneak around. Or should I just go ahead and take care of this and risk my life to save my people? Because Mordecai is already kind of putting the pressure on me, and he's correct in doing that. So what should I do? Finish reading out that chapter.
Okay. Then Esther sent this reply to Mordecai. Go and gather together all the Jews of Susa and fast for me. Do not eat or drink for 3 days, night or day. My maids and I will do the same. And then, though it is against the law, I will go in to see the king. If I must die, I must die. So Mordecai went away and did everything as Esther had ordered him.
Did you see that? She's ready to put her life on the line. Say, I'm going to do something. And if I get killed in the process, so be it. But if you notice what she did, she engaged everyone else. Sometimes we're not in a position to do anything, but maybe we can help the person who's in a position to do something.
Right.
In this way, prayer helps out. And always prayer helps out.
Yes.
Do you understand? This is what church is all about and Christianity is all about right now, as a matter of fact. No, I don't go overseas or anywhere to be a missionary. But maybe I could help fund the missionary's journey, make it easier. Maybe there's some toiletries I could send with them. Mm-hmm. Maybe they need a ride to the airport, doing something to help out the person who's going to make the frontal assault. And that's what she's getting ready to do. Now, we get into chapter 5. It's starting to get a little deep here. In chapter 5, it says that Esther puts on her royal robe. She's going to see the king. King calls her in and says, Esther, what do you want? Mm-hmm. Esther says, could you please come to a banquet that I'm giving? And she's talking to him so nicely. Mm-hmm. Come to a banquet. And by the way, bring Haman with you. And the king says, sure. Somebody go get Haman. We're going to a banquet that Esther's giving. So they go to the banquet. They're drinking, having a good time. The king understands, though, it has to be more to what Esther wants. So, Esther, I know you want something else. What else do you want? I'll give you half my kingdom. Tell me what you want. Esther says, okay, could you come back tomorrow and bring Haman with you? King said, okay, well, we could do that. Now, Haman is happy. He's getting ready to go home and tell his family, ooh, the queen just invited the king and me. We're the only two going. But as he leaves at the gate, who does he see? He sees Mordecai. Ruins his day. He goes home upset. Tell his family how he's been invited, but that darn Mordecai, I'm so upset, I want to kill him. I want to do something to him. Now this bothers me just a little bit right here. I'll read this myself because I want you guys to know, as bad as Haman was, look who idea this is. I'm reading at verse 14 in chapter 5. Well suggested Zareth, his wife, and his friends get a 75-foot high gallows, and in the morning ask the king to let you hang Mordecai from it. It was his wife's idea to hang him. And sometimes when I teach, it makes me flash over to another book of the Bible. And I don't know why, but Amos 4, 1 and 2 came to mind because we're talking about wives. Listen to this. This is what Amos thought of wives. Amos said, listen to me, you fat cows of Bashan, living in Samaria, you women who encourage your husbands to rob the poor and crush the needy. You never have enough to drink. He knows some bad wives out there too. So while we're talking about these bad men, and Haman was a bad guy, it was his wife's idea to kill, to hang Mordecai.
Okay.
Okay, now, I'm in chapter 6? Watch this. I think God gives us an off-ramp. I think he's getting ready to give Haman an off-ramp. The king could not sleep, so he told him, bring me some reading material. And so while the king is reading through, he finds the place that 2 of his people wanted to assassinate him. And who stopped the assassination? Mordecai.
That's right.
And he said, wait a minute. What kind of reward did we give him? And they said, well, king, we didn't give him anything. What? We didn't give him anything? King said, well, we got to do something about this. Go find out who's in the outer court. But as he said that, guess who was walking in?
Brother Haman.
Here comes Haman. Bring Haman to me. Now, I love Haman here because this is a lot of us. I know I saw a tad of me in this too. Because playing sports, I always thought that everything was about me anyway. And he said, Haman, if I'm pleased with somebody, what should I do for that person? And Haman, wait a minute. The only person that the king could be pleased with is me. So he must going to do something good for me. Okay. I tell you what to do, king. Get one of your finest robes. Get your crown. Get a horse. Put this person that he think this is going to be him. Let's parade him through the street and let him know how you feel. The king said, yeah, that's a good idea. Go find Mordecai. I want to do this for Mordecai. Burst his bubble. But now stop and think about this. Haman had not carried out his plan yet. As Christians, we don't believe in coincidences. How can out of all the people, it was Mordecai, the one he wanted to kill, was the one that the king wanted to honor?
That's the off-ramp you talking about?
This is the off-ramp. If he stopped right now, look, this is the king's boy. Let me leave him alone. Let me call everything off. Nothing would have happened. But sometimes we double down and we don't want to take the off-ramp. That's why earlier when I was speaking to you about the coronavirus, if we kind of personalize the coronavirus, this may be an off-ramp for some of us.
Yeah.
Some of us may have had some plans in the work to do some dastardly deeds to somebody else. God has shut the world down, giving you a chance to, oh, you want to do something to sister so-and-so or brother so-and-so?
And now you can't?
Now you can't. And guess what? I could take stuff from you, giving us a chance for an off-ramp. But of course, we know Haman. He did not take the off-ramp.
Is Haman thinking about Haman?
Yes, he is. So now let's get into the scriptures, what they can follow in the book. We're in chapter 7, and the first outline is scheme explained. If you could read verses 1 and 2 for me.
It says, so the king and Haman went to Queen Esther's banquet. On this second occasion, while they were drinking wine, the king again said to Esther, tell me what you want, Queen Esther. What is your request? I will give you even if it is half the kingdom.
He's ready to give half, although we know he's being a little facetious because he's not going to do that. But he's letting her know, I will grant you great things. Just tell me what you want. Because something that she wants, and he knows it.
Yeah.
Verse 3 and 4.
Queen Esther replied, if I found favor with the king, and if it pleases the king to grant my request, I ask that my life and the lives of my people will be spared. For my people and I have been sold to those who would kill, slaughter, and annihilate us. If we had merely been sold as slaves, I could remain quiet, for that would be too trivial a matter to warrant disturbing the king.
She actually put her cards on the table, admitting that she's a Jew now. Now, it's no coming back from this.
Right.
She's admitting that she's a Jew. But she also knows that time is starting to run out.
Yep, I was thinking that, you're in activism and you're going to speak out. Timing is very important.
It is.
Because some people think activism is that you have to get out and go out and go wild and protest, but you got to be strategic about what you do in the right time and when you do it.
Yes, you do. And also, with time running out, she has to make sure every step is a correct step.
Right.
Coach John Wooden used to tell his basketball team when he was coaching UCLA, when he was coaching Kareem and Bill Walton, these type of people, he always would say, be quick, but not in a hurry. She knew she was running out of time. She had to be quick, but if she hurried too fast, she could make a mistake.
Time.
And so we cannot do that and make a mistake. I like this here that I'm about to read to you. Esther has been queen for several years at this point. So it is quite likely that she has developed a sense of when to push the king and when not to push the king. That's KYA right there.
Yeah.
Know your audience. We need to know our audience sometime while we're speaking, because some people think you could speak to everybody the same way. You can't do that. And if we find that out, you know what? Happy marriages, happy churches, happy government, happy everything. So she knew what she could say. What verses did you read? 3 and 4. Yeah, here we are right here. I like this right here. Watch this right here. I'm getting ready to read verse 4 right here. For my people have been sold to be destroyed, killed, and annihilated. I want you to check out the words that she's starting to use now. Those are hard words. When I was at the police department, I handled all child abuse and sexual molestation cases. And when they sent me to get my master's at USC, I had to get several strange classes, I thought. And so one time they rerouted me to the Behavior Analysis Institute. What they were teaching you how to do was interview and interrogation, a fancy way of how to speak to people. Sometimes you use soft words, sometimes you use hard words, depending on the point you want to get over. Now, when she spoke to the king, she was talking to him nice, please come to my party. But now she has to get into the meat of the thing. These are hard words. Destroyed, killed, annihilated. Use those words. Now the king's ears are what? What do you killed? That? The king wants to know what she's talking about now. Watch this. I'm going to read you. What do you think? I love the what do you thinks. What do you think? Where might God be calling you? Where might God be calling you to speak up for justice on behalf of others? And it says, dig deeper. How can you ensure that more harm than good won't result? My answer is you can't. You don't know whether you're doing more harm than good. All you know is you need to speak out. Albert Einstein, we know who that is. I mean, this is the father of physics, who actually, even though he didn't invent the atomic bomb, they used his formula. Einstein said to remain silent is to be complicit. And what he meant by that is, if you know something bad is going down and you don't say anything, you're just as worse as the person who's doing it.
You contributed to it.
So you did. So we need to speak out sometime. Here we go. Title of the second outline, culprit exposed. A culprit is a crook. So now we get ready to expose the culprit. Because remember now, there's a scheme in play here. And now we get ready to find out what that scheme is. Now remember my title, if you dig one ditch, you better dig two. The trap you set may first be for you. There's a scheme, not only to kill the Jews, but now it's a scheme to hang Mordecai. If you can read verses 5 and 6.
Yes, sir. Who would do such a thing? King Xerxes demanded. Who would be so presumptuous as to touch you? Esther replied, this wicked Haman is our adversary, is our adversary and our enemy. Haman grew pale and fright before the king and queen.
What? Somebody want to kill you?
Bust him out.
Oh my God. And again, let's look at the hard word she's using when she's describing him. Adversary, enemy, vile. This perks the king's ears. Now, what we have to remember, and men, we need to understand this a whole lot. That's the man's wife. That's the king's wife. My father, boy, he died when I was a freshman in college. But I remember when he told me about the birds and the bees when I was 16 years old. Funny story of my life. Oh, the sexual parts I still creep him and I'm laughing about them. But a couple of times he would be serious and tell me some things like, if you're at someone else's home, you can never be right at someone else's home. You leave the house. Always treat a man with dignity. These kind of things. And one thing he told me, and I used this in police work when I was an investigator and I had no leads, this is what he told me. He said there are 3 things to avoid when you're talking to another man. His wine, his woman, and his money. Now, I just updated the wine to drugs and alcohol. But if I looked at the crimes that I solved, it always had to do with drugs, some woman, or some money. In this instance, we're talking about this man, Haman, wanting to kill this man, Xerxes' wife.
And her wife people.
Oh, you better not even think about this. Now, what does it say that Haman does? He's starting to get scared now. His plan, his scheme is starting to unravel. It's getting ready to boomerang back on him. He has a scheme to kill, and now he's the one getting in trouble. What's the next verse we're going to read, Ed?
We're going to read 7 and 8.
7 and 8.
Then the king jumped to his feet in a rage and went out into the palace garden. Haman, however, stayed behind to plead for his life with Queen Esther, for he knew that the king intended to kill him. In despair, he fell on the couch where Queen Esther was reclining. Just as the king was returning from the palace garden, the king exclaimed, will you even assault the queen right here in the palace before my very eyes? And as soon as the king spoke, his attendants covered Haman's face, signaling his doom.
Winston Churchill would say, the shoe's on the other foot now. Because all his plans now are coming back to bite him. Right now, if we would be honest with ourselves, there are a host of us sitting in the church right now. We're still suffering the consequences of when we thought the plot to hurt somebody. We're living with the consequences now because it came back to bite us. and we had to suffer through that. Now, here's a problem. Now the king is angry. He's seeing everything. We know for a fact that Haman is not getting ready to molest Queen Esther.
Right.
As a matter of fact, the Living Bible say rape, to show you use a hard word. But what he's doing is pleading for his life. But even that, you cannot get on that couch with the queen.
Right.
Now, when the king sees this, he's already angry and gonna kill him, and you're gonna bother my wife too.
On top of
all of that, and you're gonna rape my wife. So when the veil falls over his face, that says you can't even look at us anymore. Things are getting ready to happen to you. Turn the page. Title of the last outline: Scoundrel Executed. You know what? I wonder if you wanted me to teach this lesson because you don't have police overtones here. Because we're dealing with a criminal here. Read verses 9 and 10.
All right. So it says, then Harbona, one of the king's eunuchs, said, Haman has set up a sharpened pole that stands 75 feet tall in his own courtyard. He intended to use it to impale Mordecai, the man who saved the king from assassination. Then impale Haman. Then he said, then impale Haman on it, the king ordered. So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. Then was the king's wrath pacified or subsided.
Do you understand? The thing that he wanted to do to Mordecai actually happened to Haman. Now, when the king looked at his eunuch and said, hey, go do this to him. If the plan had not been in fruition, or he had not planned that, or if he had pulled back, it would not have even happened to him. But it got even worse. Although the lesson stops here, if we do go into chapter 8, we'll find out everything that Haman had became Mordecai's. This is what happened when you plan to do dirt to other people. As Christians, we need to understand this too. Because sometimes we do that too. We slip. Look, we get angry with people. Yeah. And I know I've gotten, if I had a highway, I'd have a whole lot of off-ramps that God gave me, and I took them too. Because again, we could think of some bad things to do to people, and we shouldn't. And we should take this time right now, during this coronavirus season, to stop and think about how we may be contributing to this too. A lot of times Christians think, oh, the world is doing this. They don't allow prayer in school anymore. And look at the government, and Trump is doing this. Well, what are you doing?
Wow.
That little bad thing that you're doing, that might be contributing too, if that's the reason. Even if it's not the reason, maybe if you internalize it and take that off-ramp, stop your plan right now so something won't come back to get you. Wow. Now, in closing, Ed, I want to do this. A lot of times people think, I'm just one person. What can I do? Esther was one person. Yeah. But remember, it's Christians. You plus God. You're the majority. You can do something. And I'll read this because this definitely encompasses me and probably some of you too. It says right here, there are two extremes to avoid. Thinking that confronting evil is all up to us. I think they wrote that for me. Every time I say, yeah, I want to do something all the time. But rushing into a situation can cost you.
Yeah. And
then it says, and thinking confronting evil is all up to God. I've heard people, Christians, oh, well, God will take care of it. God will provide. It's neither one of those. It's both of them with prayer. God will lead us down the right path to go. But don't think that God is going to do it by himself, even though he can. He wants us involved too. And don't think just because you are somebody like me, don't rush in trying to overpower everything, because it's going to come that day that you may lose. So let's do it both. Let's not only work with God to do something, but even if you're not the strongest person in the world, the least we could do is speak up. And if we speak up, we'll find out that things will be a lot better, it'll be a lot less evil in the world. Ed, back to you.
Wow. Wow. I read this lesson before this Sunday school class, and some things came out of it that you said that I didn't think about. One thing I was thinking about is just her approach. Her approach. I mean, she could have done several ways. She could have tackled it all different types of ways. You know, she could have went in and just stormed the room to the king.
Yes.
She could do it, but she knew to do it. It was the fact that she took the time to know her audience, and in her audience Haman was in the audience too.
Yes.
You know, so she had. You could tell she was thinking the whole time. And I think about the biggest advocate out of all of it, the biggest activist was Mordecai.
Yes.
You know, Mordecai just really, you know, he spoke out, and in him speaking out, he spoke out to the point to where he spoke out to his own cousin.
Yes.
Cousin adopted daughter.
Yes. That's just who she was.
Yeah. So it you know, this opening my eyes to some things, and it makes me think, you know, about speaking out. You know, there's times when we're going to have to say things, times when we're going to have to tell people certain things and speak the truth, right? Because the truth is neither bad or good. The truth is just the truth.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And again, it could be someone you're really close to, someone you care about. Speak the truth to them. That's what we do.
Right.
As a matter of fact, there's a old saying they attributed to Thomas Jefferson, even though they can't prove Thomas Jefferson said it. And he was talking about the most sincere form of patriotism is the right to dissent. Don't always get angry with someone because they disagree with you on something, because they care enough about you to say something like this to you. I think I'm talking to myself, I'm not sure. Because you know, in teaching my class, I have some women in there who will dissent.
Yeah.
I'm not mentioning any names, Rosemary and Carrie.
I didn't say it. I
didn't say it either. I think I whispered it. But we have to understand, if someone cares enough about you to say something, that's what you want, all through sports. I loved it. I was yelled and screamed at from 13 years old playing football, 9 years old playing baseball, but especially in football. Playing Pop Warner, the coach would yell and scream at me, got to high school, yell and scream at me. I became captain of the team, yell and scream at me. Last undefeated season of Little High School, yell and scream at me. Go to Langston, yell and scream at me. My senior year, we number 2 in the nation. I get to go to the pros, get to go play with the Raiders for a while. I get to the Raiders, they don't yell and scream at me. I found out it's good for them to yell and scream at you because they care about you.
Yeah.
If they don't say anything to you, that's when you're in trouble. So it's a good thing to dissent sometimes, but let's take the dissent in the right way. If someone's sincere in speaking to you, take it as it's given. And again, Mordecai, big role, he spoke out.
Wow.
Esther, even though she's a woman, stepped up. Don't think because you're the fairest sex you cannot step up. Just because you're one person, you can't step up. Oh, women, I trust you. You can do a lot of things.
Sometimes more you than us.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah. All right, so I'm hoping that all of you guys got something out this lesson. I know I did. And I always do. Every time Stanley teaches, I always get something out of his lessons. So I pray that you guys got something out of this lesson, and I pray that you take anything from this lesson that can help you, help you grow. Again, we're going to be here next Sunday. We'll have another lesson for you. I'm not going to tell you the name of the teacher. I'm going to surprise you. I'm going to wait till that day and you'll see. But you see our arsenal. You see what we have right now. We have some good teachers. So those of you that aren't members of Friendship that's out there tuning up, you see how we roll. You know, from a strong strong pastor to some people here that just knows how to break the word down too. All right, so again, I pray that things work out well for you. I pray that you're able to, that the service will be going on at 11 o'clock after this service, that you're able to get enriched by that service as well. Again, tune in to our prayer meetings, tune in to our Bible studies, our worship services, and all the things that we have. Just stay tuned on Facebook, the website, YouTube, and everything else. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and pray out, and we'll see you next Sunday. So bow our heads. Lord, I'm just so thankful, Lord, that you're God. I'm just so thankful that you came here, Lord, and that you're speaking to us in your word, Lord. I pray, Lord, that you can open our minds, Lord, that we take whatever it is that you're teaching us, Lord, that we can learn and grow and use it, Lord, to the betterment not only to ourselves but to others, Lord. Use us, Lord, through this word, that we're able to be the salt that you have us for the earth, Lord. Help us to grow and help us to help others to grow. I pray that you can open our mouths, Lord, and open our minds, Lord, to be able to speak out and speak the truth and let others know the truth when the truth needs to be told. Give us the boldness, Lord. Give us the courage, Lord. And give us the convictions, Lord, to be able to do these things, Lord. And I thank you again for being God. I thank you again for this moment, this experience, and this time. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Thank you.